Hello everybody and welcome to the second week of Season 1 of the Canadian Highlander weekly Xmage bracket. We are a weekly Canadian Highlander tournament that brings you some spicy games from players that are on the Canadian Highlander Discord. Today we have 6 of our great players here to jam some games with us, guys.
Great might be a little strong.
Yeah, don't
I'm
sound...
great at drawing Ancestral.
Ancestral, that is a good skill. So, we'll be starting the games momentarily. Before we're ready to go, a couple of notes. You can sign up for this tournament. Well, I will not go into the spiel about what Canadian Highlander is. It's a great format. It's a 100 card singleton with a points list. I won't go too deep about it. But it's a format that we all love. And the thing that we're doing is every week we come together and do a short 3-round events. We are keeping score through some means that we haven't fully hashed out what the score that we're keeping is, but it's happening. And if you wanted to participate in this event every week, you can just show up on the Canadian Highlander Discord. If you're watching the VOD, there will be a link in the YouTube description. The VOD of week 1 sadly got lost. I'm sorry about that. If you're watching live, we will make sure to have a link to the Discord in the I'll be posting a link link to the Discord in the Twitch chat momentarily, and I will and you can also just go on the Facebook page of the Canadian Highlander format, and there's a link to the Discord there. And at that point, you just show up, and there will be a tournament announcement that goes live sometime around Thursday. You send your deck list to either me or the other tournament organizer, Eloquent, and that will put you on the list, and then Sunday you show up and you play, and it's great. You get to play Canadian Highlander, which is a reward in by itself. Today we have, as I was saying earlier, 6 players with us. We have WindyDelCarlo, WafaTheRed, Tenebre55, ThunderNumbers, MrTulip and Loading, and the first round will be Windy versus Wafa, and Tenebre versus ThunderNumbers, and Tulip versus Loading. I am putting this in chat just so that you guys have access to it. And yeah, so good luck. Today I do not have a co-host, so you get to just hear my own voice while I try to cobble together reasonable commentary from just being myself. And yeah, good luck to all. Good luck to all of our players. All right. So Windy versus Wafa is Blue-White Control versus a tempo list, but we have some spies showing up. In particular, we have Tulip on Cradlehoof versus Loading on Druid's Tribal, which is pretty nice. And then we have ThunderNumbers on Jund versus Tenebre on Adnaus. I want to watch some Druids, honestly. So we're gonna be watching. We're gonna be starting the Loading versus the Loading. Oh. Loading versus Tulip matchup, and we'll take it from there. Let's see. I'm gonna find the matchup momentarily, and then we'll go in. It looks like they are they're still waiting on one of the players to show up. Never mind, they are off to the races. Let me go to the game screen, and here we go. Gonna quickly get permission to see their hands. It looks like They're still deciding on mulligans. I don't know what we're waiting on. Possibly, looks like maybe they both kept their 7. No, Tulip is mulliganing. So Loading keeps the 7. Tulip mulligans to 6. Looks at the second 6, and decides to keep the second 6. We are looking currently at these again. I thought I had fixed it. Well, this is a concordant crossroads that look like as I hope mummy. We have had this a little bit of this issue. I fixed a lot of them, but not quite all of them. Tulip leads on, well, a druid, but he's not the druid player. Loading up with, starting with Boreal Druid. He has a pretty reasonable hand of a few lands, he has a pretty... Okay, we're watching the wrong hand. This is gonna get complicated because because they're both on green. So he's on a reasonable hand on Tropical Island, Forest, Fierce Empath. This is gonna go and fetch something big. Nissa to like be a threat in Thespian stage. The problem is that his hand is not very fast. He drew the Sylvan's Crime, which you can find the Gaia's Cradle, which is gonna probably accelerate him, but it doesn't have a big payoff yet. The Fierce Empath is gonna go a long way into making sure that gets found. The Loading, on the other hand, is on 3 more lands, including Temple Garden, since his list includes white, plus a Xmage and the Concordant Crossroads, which he already played, and the Priest of Titania. The conjunction of Concordant Crossroads with Mana Dorks is actually fairly powerful here, and we'll see that he will be able to dump Priest of Titania and Birds of Paradise on turn 2, both on turn 2. Mr. Tulip predictably finds Dark Depths with Sylvan's Crying, which is a line they actually missed, and I'm sorry I did that, yeah, but I completely missed that line. So now actually Loading has, well, it's a problem for him. He'll need to find out some way not to die for 2020. I guess he can chomp with the birds for 1 turn. But this is gonna be tough. I don't know what his deck can do to beat a Maritlage. I believe that he's also playing blue. I believe his deck is banned, although it's very heavily base green. But he, in 2 turns from now, is going to get attacked by 2020, and he'll need to find somewhere. Crop rotation is interesting. He might be able to crop rotate for something like a Glacial Chasm, if that's in his list, or some other way, like or a Caracas, possibly, to beat the 2020. Those would be... and that would set Mr. Tulip back by an exorbitant amount. It's worth mentioning that Concordant Crossroads is symmetrical, so Mr. Tulip's Loading concedes, which makes me suspect that he does not have Caracas in his deck, and that's it. Tulip is up 1 game. Let's keep watching and go to game 2. Loading decides to hit the 7. Mr. Tulip. Oh no, I think we missed some scrying. I think yeah, Loading's on 5, and Tulip kept the 7. It's not a bad 5. It has a Mana Crypt in it. It says not to go for immediate Elvish Harbinger, which is surprising to me, but I don't know what his plan is. I guess that he's deciding to wait until he knows what he needs, because the end needs both more mana and more everything else, which is not uncommon because if it's a 5. Tulip also has a Mana Crypt? What's going on? Do they both have Mana Crypt in the start of the hand? They do. So they both have a Mana Crypt, and Tulip decides to go off. He dumps Wall of Roots, Priest of Titania, both on turn 1. And next turn he's going to have a bundle of mana. He can drop the Elvish Visionary, and then Priest of Titania will tap for 2, which will allow him to... Well, he'll need a land. We'll see how this pans out. He will definitely need a land in order to deploy all of his hand. But he's not facing a lot of pressure from Loring that finally commits his first threat to the board with his Hervé Shardbringer, which is barely a creature. He finds Nantuko Elder with it, which is a mana dork that taps for 2. Taps for 1 in the green. I don't know what his plan is though. He's probably going to... Oh no, he drew the Nantuko Elder. He's still searching. He finds Priest of Titania, which makes sense. It's another dork that taps for 2. He has a lot of mana, or he will have a lot of mana, but he has no pressure at all, which is gonna be a problem. Tulip wins the Mana Crypt flip, draws a Rofellos, well. So probably he will go something like tap activate Wall of Roots and tap Forest to play either Elvish Visionary, probably Elvish Visionaries when he hit the land. That will let the Priest of Titania tap for 2, play the Rofellos, and if he hits a land, he can also deploy the birds. I guess he also has a Mana Crypt. Woodland Bellower is the draw, which is probably almost certainly going to be able to deploy next turn. Let's see what he does here. He has 1 and the green available, which is not enough to deploy any of his elves. He might want to just tap the Priest of Titania and use it to deploy the Nissa and make a plant, and then use Wall of Roots to just deploy the birds. That ensures that you can that ensures that you are 100% able to deploy the Woodland Bellowers next turn, and then the Woodland Bellowers can probably cobble together a win in some way, or at least generate some absurd amount of value. However, you can also just find if you have absurd amounts of mana, you can, which he's not, although he's not going to, because he didn't play the Rofellos, he didn't find a way to deploy the Rofellos, but so he's gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. So he's not gonna have a whole bunch. If he did, he would probably use a line where he can deploy the Woodland Bellower and then use that to find Fierce Empath that then finds Craterhoof Behemoth. But we are not quite there yet. Nissa will probably make a plant, and he might take the Craterhoof line in like 2 turns. Or he might just like... Did Nissa... Oh, Nissa just buffed the team. So maybe he's going to try to win using the cards he already has. Which is also a reasonable choice. Loring has won the Mana Crypt flip. He's poised to generate a lot of mana for next turn. He's gonna have access to 9 mana on his next turn, which he can use to deploy anything he draws, but he's empty-handed now. So this game is definitely looking like it's in Tulip's favor. Loring kind of ran out of stuff, which is not unusual when you're on a mulligan to 2. On a mulligan to 5. So Tulip deploys the Bellower. Nest Invader was the draw for the turn. So deploys Bellower, which probably finds... does it find Fierce Empath, I guess, is the question. Because if it does, then he has some sort of Craterhoof line. And if it doesn't, well, it's probably gonna find some way of getting stuff done. Not dropping the Rofellos last turn was a problem. That was 2 fewer mana, because 1 from the Priest of Titania, 1 from the Rofellos itself. He decides to go for the Fierce Empath line. So he's almost certainly going to win with Craterhoof next turn. Nissa's going to make a plant now. Yeah. Finds Craterhoof Behemoth. We'll see what Lorien can do. He also manages to deploy a Nest Invader, which is pretty important. This was its 2 bodies, which means the Craterhoof will be even more lethal. And even though the Eldrazi spawn has 0 power, it can attack, can get there. If it were to have, say, 9 power next turn, because some sort of gigantic pig entered the battlefield, that would be a perfectly acceptable way of making sure that the token would be able to get in there. Loring is still kind of gasping for air and reeling from this mulligan. Well, Tulip passes the turn. His draw. He doesn't do the Mana Crypt feat. His draw is Cloudstone Courier. Cloudstone Courier is a powerful card that you can use to often cobble together wins from bouncing your Elvish Visionaries, but not in this case. And yeah, Mr. Tulip wins in 2 very short games. Now we are gonna have 2 people. One of the 2 people is probably gonna join me in the booth while we go watch the Tenebrae versus ThunderNumbers game. Tenebrae is on an ad nauseam list. Hi guys, I see you are here. What's up?
Hi, I just got crushed.
Yeah, we were watching those games live. It was it was certainly something. It was unfortunate you had to mulligan solo in game 2.
Yeah, and in game 1, just that Dark Depths was really hard.
I thought you had the game in the bag, honestly, and then Tulip just ripped the Sylvan Scrying from the top of his library and was like, oh. Well then. I figured that, because you had the crop rotation in hand, right? So I figured that you could have crop rotate a land into Caracas to deal with the 2020. But is Caracas not in your deck?
I don't actually know, so I grabbed this deck off Tapped Out at 10 o'clock last night. I don't believe it's...
I guess you could have just tried and see if that worked out.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'm watching ThunderNumbers versus Tenebrae. ThunderNumbers is on a Jund list. I think it's Jund midrange. And Tenebrae is on a combo ad nauseam list. So Thunders has a couple of mana dorks, a wolf token. I'm gonna try to see if I can fix these tokens really quickly. What just happened? Oh, okay. I'm gonna try to see if I can get the token to look reasonable at some point. Then he has also an Arlene, which has plus and flipped, or minus and flipped. Tenebrae, on his other hand, has a bunch of mana in play, and the Boral, which is also mana, I guess, and Tendrils of Agony in hand, but nothing else going on at all. ThunderNumbers is looking to actually have a good shot to close the game up, honestly. He has a hand of a couple of, like a Traversi Ulvenwald, a Raven's Crime, a Toxic Deluge, and Olivia Voldaren. And he's going to really put the screws on Tenebrae in the next few turns. He's got a Wolf going on. Olivia is, crazy. So I think Tenebrae just needs to reap something like Ad Nauseam or a tutor for Ad Nauseam off the top and hope that that's good enough. Although, wait, he cannot cast Ad Nauseam. He only has 1 black mana. Are you also watching the game?
Yeah, I'm there right now.
Alright. So I'm not crazy, right? Like, Tenebrae currently cannot cast an Ad Nauseam because he has only 1 black source of mana.
Yeah, and losing that Brawl is a real hit.
Yeah, losing Boral often is. I had to change my current my spreadsheet because I only had Tenebre's deck marked at blue-white, and it looks like it's actually sorry, as blue-black. It looks like it's blue-white-black, which is not the thing I thought, but we fixed it. It's fine. So, ThunderNumbers is gonna cycle an irrigated farmland. Finds more mana. So Dimir Signet is not bad. Dimir Signet means that if he actually peels the Ad Nauseam or a tutor for Ad Nauseam, he will be able to actually cast it, because that represents a second black source. He will need to... He'll probably end up discarding the Tendrils if I go into the Raven's Crime at some point. Right? Like...
Yeah, that's... If after he discards Tendrils, I'm not quite sure. I mean, I don't have his list, but I'm not sure how he can come back from that.
Usually for these lists, having your Tendrils in the graveyard is not a big deal. Like, it's sometimes even more desirable to have it in the graveyard than to have it in hand, because like you can regrow it in a number of ways with like a Yawgmoth's Will or something.
Is this a storm deck?
Tenebre is playing Esper Ad Nauseam.
Oh yeah, okay.
There's the scoop.
Yeah.
Was that the match?
It looks like it was. I'm not seeing their match anymore. Yeah. So
well, they both just came back in here, so I hope it's the match.
Yeah. All right. So give me your match results and record them, and we'll get them ready. So I have Tulip wins 2-0 versus Lodin. Windy, how did your match go?
2-0 me.
Windy wins 2-0.
I know that the stream didn't get to see it, but our first game consisted of landing a Jace Prince Prodigy and just activating it until it ulted.
Tenebre and ThunderNumbers. Are you in chat?
ThunderNumbers 2.
ThunderNumbers 2? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. For round 2, we will have Tulip versus ThunderNumbers, Windy versus Tenebre, and Wafa versus Loading. All right, so let's get things started. I did not put the in between rounds screen, so you get to watch this lovely list of things happening on Xmage. But actually, let me just do that. Let's be at least somewhat professional, at least like a little bit. Okay, so our matchups are Tulip on Cradlehoof versus ThunderNumbers on Jund. Then Windy on the Templist, and Tenebre on Ad Nauseam, and Wafa on Control and Loving on Druids. I want to watch the Windy matchup. First, because we didn't get a chance to watch any Windy at all last game, and second because and secondarily because I hadn't watched much more right now, so I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. Well, we're off to the races. Tenebre leads on with the Duress, with Swamp into Duress. His hand is made of a Mox Opal, which he cannot activate, Talisman of Dominance, Ancient Tomb plus Island, and also Ancient Angel's Grace, which is a good one to have with Ad Nauseam, and Mystical Tutor as well as Path to Exile, which is going to help him stabilize. On the other hand, Windy has a hand of a few lands, but also Fevered Vision, Spellhair Chimera, Stagger Shock, which is not the fastest hand. Ooh, Abrade is a really good draw against this deck. I don't know why I keep trying to fix my images and they just do not work, and this is just driving me nuts. I'll have to fix this at some point. So anyway, Windy is dropping this Fevered Vision, and that represents actually a pretty fast clock. This Abrade presumably hitting this Talisman of Dominance is actually a pretty big deal. The Spellhair Chimera is probably going to need a Path to Exile, but he doesn't need... The Fevered Visions cannot get pathed. That is 2 damage that is probably going to hit every single turn, which goes well with these Incinerates and other burn spells that he's going to have access to. He opts to not Abrade immediately. He decides to lead with Spellhair Chimera, which makes sense. Tenebrae fires a Platinum's Legacy. Let's see what he's witching away. Latam Legacy is pretty good with Fever Vision because it diminishes the number of cards in your hand. 1 Fever Visions matter, but I don't think it's enough because Fever Vision can check for 4 or more. Yeah, so it's still gonna have a lot. Find the Thoughts, which is painful but still pretty good. We'll see what he can do. The Talisman of Dominance is almost certainly gonna get upgraded at some point, which means that Tenebrae has less mana than he thinks. But he does have 6 already. Plus, if he deploys a land next turn, that's gonna be 1 more. Ooh, Thoughts is gonna probably take a braid. Hand check. There is nothing, no counter spells or anything. This is just a hand. It takes probably either a Braid or Stagger Shock. Stagger Shock represents 1 more damage, but a Braid can kill the Talisman of Dominance. Windy getting kind of punished for not firing off immediately. Spellhair Chimera is not dying quite yet, because Tenebra doesn't have any white mana to fire off the path, and it's currently a pretty beefy 4/3, partly thanks to a couple of cantrips to fire off in the early game, but also partly because of Tenebra discarding a bunch of stuff from Windy's hand. So we'll see if Tenebra can cobble together a win. We have so he fires off a Dark Petition. He does have Spell Mastery, so he will get the 3 mana rebate. We'll probably find Ad Nauseam, so he's gonna have just enough mana to fire off Ad Nauseam. But he doesn't want to do that. He wants to Ad Nauseam when he has Angel's Grace up. So what he's gonna probably do is just let the mana go to waste and get ready, unless I miscounted, which is a possibility, and then get ready. Unless he finds a basic, he might just want to find planes. That might be a thing that he wants to do, just find the plane so that he has Mystical Tutor to find Ad Nauseam next turn. Finds Tundra, yeah, that's not too surprising, honestly. Tundra is a risky line. It's possible it doesn't play basic planes, but Tundra is a line that might leave you dead next turn. In the meantime, Windy is finding more and more cards, but he does not find counter spells, which are the way that he would like to interact with his opponent. Decides to start firing up Incinerate and then probably also Stagger Shock. And wait a second, Tenebrae is dead. Never mind. Next turn was not good enough. The attack from Spellhair Chimera will just put Tenebre dead to Stagger Shock. Tenebre dead to -1, and that's all she wrote. Windy consistently win games on like the first turn, the last turn that it would be okay for, like that he has, which I guess is what Tempo does. Tenebre keeps a relatively risky hand made of a land and some other stuff. I guess he has a dark ritual, so that's not too bad. He might even like restick Tutor for a land next turn, though that's kind of scary. Decides not to keep it. His new hand is not great. It's a high tide hand that does not have an island. Yeah, goes to the second 6. Now we have... No, this hand seems pretty good. He has 3 lands, Phyrexian Unlife, Spell Pierce, and Dark Petition, which can find Ad Nauseam eventually, and the Spell Pierce to protect his combo. We'll see how Windy's hand lines up. Windy has 3 lands, including a Strip Mine, and a Braid, Forceback, and Daze. So he has a pretty disruptive hand, but no threat. Peels a Lightning Bolt off the top, decides to play the Strip Mine, and probably just Strip Mine the Godless Shrine, I would imagine. Or possibly the basic island, but probably the Godless Shrine, yeah. That seems like a much bigger setback. And now, if Tenebre fires up... Tenebre is sadly set to fire up this Phyrexian Unlife next turn, and then just get demolished by Force Spike. Which, to be fair, I don't think there is a way. Like, Force Spike either does nothing or demolishes you. It's not exactly a spell made of middle. Oh, Tenebre does not have a 3rd land. Yeah, because he did, but it got Strip Mined. Oh, okay, finds Polluted Delta, which means now he can deploy the Phyrexian Unlife and then get demolished by Force Spike, which I guarantee you is what's gonna happen. Might decide to go for the Frantic Search first. Honestly, that is certainly a possibility. No, decides to go for Ristic Tutor. Windy does not have the 2, but Tenebre does not have the 1. Is its problem. And yeah, no tutors for you. In the meantime, back in Windyland, Windy has some more disruption, but still cannot find a threat. He's just kind of stuck on 3 lands. I'm expecting he will maybe ice a land from Tenebre during his upkeep. Yeah, Windy just wants to keep cycling through his deck to find more stuff. And the things that he finds is... Tenebre decides to add mana. Okay, finds an Incinerate, which is still... He started to get kinda close to... No, he only has 6 points of damage in hand. Tenebre fires the Frantic Search, gets Spell Pierce. I'm surprised he didn't get Dazed, honestly, because Windy has a land drop to give next turn. I suppose that Windy is making the calculation that Daze can be used when he has no mana. But Spellfist can counter more stuff, and Windy doesn't have a lot of incentives to tap out on his turn when he has this much mana. Tenebre, okay, do you have another counterspell? Do you have another counterspell? Yes, is the answer. Sadly for Tenebre, Windy just does have another counterspell, which means that the Phyrexian Unlife will not work. Windy decides to also fire up an Incinerate to Tenebre's face, and then untaps. Does he manage to find the threat? Does he manage to find the threat? Does he manage to find something that can deal damage? No, he finds a Mana Leak though, which means he can be able to keep Tenebre off of balance for a little bit longer. But Tenebre is continuing to jam threats, and eventually he's gonna get there. Currently does not have double black. Well, I guess he can use Cabal Ritual to make double black. He's very close to having to making Threshold there. We might see him snap casting the Frantic Surge next turn, honestly. Or possibly the Rhystic Tutor if Windy taps down, but Windy is not gonna tap down, so I'm assuming that we might see him just snap casting the Frantic Surge at the end of turn. Tenebre finds a Pentad Prism, which is probably gonna cast. That's important for the continuation of his mana development. Windy, sadly, I believe, well, I don't want to be partisan, but I think I remember Windy having an Abrade in hand, yeah, so he just fires it off, destroys the Pentad Prism. Windy's kind of out of gas, though. His hand is only a Mana Leak. Tenebre still has 4 cards in hand, and they're not bad cards. I think that this might be Tenebre's game eventually. We'll have to see what happens, but he still has this Dark Petition in hand, which I guess we'll trade with the... We'll end... Oh, this is very bad for Tenebre, actually. Wasteland takes out 2 of his mana after Abrade taking out the Pentad Prism. He's back to square 3 mana. Draws an island, which can put him back to 4, but... On the other hand, he has a Threshold now, so this Cabal Ritual is active. Windy fires off an Arc Trail, dealing 2 damage to Tenebre and 1 to himself. This is kind of insane. I wonder if Tenebre is supposed to, when he finally gets his 2nd black mana and is able to untap with it, to... just fire off Dark Petition for like Necro, assuming that that's in his deck, which it might not. It's very possible that Necropotence is not in fact in Tenebre's deck, but do something like that where you just draw a bunch of cards that way and see if you can cobble together a win from that spot. What does Snapcaster targets? Excuse me?
The in-between round sign.
God damn it. Again. Okay, we fixed it. I am so sorry about this. When I'm streaming this from home, I only have one screen, sadly, and that means I have to watch the game and I can't watch the screen preview, which is how this keeps happening. I am sorry that we missed basically this entire round up until this point. This has been a very interesting game 2 too. Windy has been unable to find a threat. He now manages to stick a Thermo Alchemist, but his hand is mostly spent. Tenebre is trying to cobble together a win from a bunch of pieces that he has in hand, but he's been struggling. I believe that we'll see him drop the Talisman of Dominance this turn. So by the way, I'm watching the... If the people that have finished the rounds want to jump into the booth, I'm watching the WindyDelCarlo versus Tenebre game. So currently we are in game 2. Tenebre finally fires off this Dark Petition, almost certainly gonna trade with the Mana Leak, which I believe is still in Windy's hand. There you go. So, the good news for Tenebre is that Windy is out. He's cardless. He has no cards in hand anymore. The bad news for him is that his hand is also mostly spent. At least given the amount of mana that he has right now, because Windy has been attacking his mana pretty ruthlessly. And his best line is something like Snapcaster Mage for Demonic Consultation. Not Demonic Consultation, sorry. The card he just played. Dark Petition. But it turns out that's 7 mana and he doesn't have 7 mana. Rain of Filth will help with that. Rain of Filth can make a lot of mana, but it's only gonna be able to do that on the actual turn. And he does not have the second piece of the combo in hand yet. Decides to cast Rain of Filth, I think he's going for it. Will probably Snapcaster the Cabal Ritual, which is gonna make... well, no, he can't Snapcaster the Cabal Ritual, right? Because he needs to Snapcaster... he needs to Snapcaster... what's he gonna Snapcast? So he targets Dark Petition. Casts Dark Petition. He has 1 land left. He's gonna find, I'm assuming, Ad Nauseam? He has no mana floating. He finds Yogwill. Okay, now I'm back on board. So he casts Yawgmoth's Will using the land. Now he has a bunch of rituals in the yard he can use. Or I guess just a Cabal Ritual? Question mark? So you can play a land from the graveyard. Plus you can fire off the Cabal Ritual for 5 black mana. And then probably cast Phyrexian Unlife, I would guess. So I'm assuming... no, he doesn't have any white mana to cast Phyrexian Unlife. I don't know what's going on here. He's probably gonna he might cast a Pentad Prism for 1. Oh, so he can cast Pentad Prism for 1 and then use that to cast Phyrexian Unlife. And that's exactly the 5 black mana that he has, I suppose. I don't know if sacrificing 3 of your lands was worth... yeah, he concedes. I don't think he found any line. Maybe he didn't see the...
good old Storm. Storm 5 minutes. And then
why did you not put... so, you had the line... you had a line... or Tenebrae had a line where he could have put Pentad Prism for 1 in play by paying 2 black mana, and that would give him exactly enough mana to just put Phyrexian Unlife in play, and once Phyrexian Unlife is in play, you just hope that you draw another tutor at some point and cast your
But then I only have 1 land in play.
Oh, I understand. I'm not saying it's great for you, but like, like...
yeah, I don't know. I just, I was trying to go off because I knew that if he had enough draws, he was definitely going to draw a counterspell. But, yeah, as I said, I think I'm just dead. Like, I could have...
okay. I thought that this game was going actually pretty well for you because Windy was like cardless towards the end. But
the time it took me to find any method of dealing constant...
yeah, you could not find the threat for...
It's like, yeah, I'm just like, okay, I need to draw a threat. Arc Trail. Okay, I need to draw a threat. Okay, Thorough Alchemist, I guess. Meanwhile, Wafa and...
Wafa and Loading are on a...
still game 1.
This is certainly a board. I will... wait, this is game 1?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So, how do you think that Loading will be able to take all of Wafa's lands? Because that's the goal of this deck, right? Like, the goal of the Druid's deck is to control all the lands.
First thing that needs to happen is that the tension sphere needs to go away.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm assuming he's playing like a Reclamation Sage or something like that.
Would it be faster if this Elvish Heartbringer just attacked from lethal?
Maybe. I mean, Wafa has 12 virtual hit points, right? Intruder Alarm is interesting.
Yeah, look at whose hand is that.
Well, this is Loading's hand. So he has Elvish Archdruid. Well, he has a Druid, obviously. So what are you expecting?
I know. Just once he drew the Elvish Archdruid, it's like, oh well, this is not Wafa's hand.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about Intruder Alarm. I don't know what Intruder Alarm is there for. Does he play like Does he play like some sort of Squirrelcraft variant?
Squirrelcraft would not do it. So there is the Imperious Perfect. That's not an infinite combo, but is a combo. It's mass magie.
I'm trying to figure out if he's playing some sort of, because Intruder Alarm there's a few number of ways. Oh, you know what he's probably playing? I think he's playing that green enchantment, Presence of Gond.
Yes. Also, Ant Queen and 2 Mana Dorks does, or this is actually an infinite combo. Ant Queen and Elvish Archdruid and this Intruder Alarm.
Yeah, no, that does it.
That's infinite.
Can Wafa do anything about it? Oh, him Mana Drain the Queen, which is
has a Mana Drain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or he can Snapcaster back. He decides to Snapcaster.
Counterspell her.
One of like the 78 things that he has, I guess. Like he's probably his Snapcaster. His Snapcaster Sinister Sabotage, I would imagine, because that draws. That also gives him some amount of selection.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
I don't think Wafa knows it, but this Ant Queen is must counter because this Intruder Alarm just wins the game otherwise.
Oh, he had a Mystic Confluence in the yard.
Yeah, the Mystic Confluence in the yard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good. The Elvish Archdruid is summoning sick, right? Is the Elvish Archdruid summoning sick?
Doesn't seem like it.
So he needs to do counter.
You're right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Yeah, he has 7 mana.
Yeah. No, that was counter draw. So either both of them survived with the Archdruid, or this Archdruid came in off mana that I can.
There's no way, right? Because he only has 5 mana tap, so the Elvish Archdruid has to be from last turn.
Yeah. So both of them forgot about that Archdruid.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. He drew a Mana Leak. That's exactly what you want on turn.
That's good on this board state, yeah.
Yeah. On turn, like... Okay. Is there a way to figure out what turn it is?
Yes, turn 34.
Oh, great. Does that count both players' turns, or is it like per play?
Wait, let me find out. So 34 was Wafa, and if I scroll back a bit more...
No, it has to be. They have not drawn 34 cards each, so we're on turn 17. Yeah. Ooh, Lifecrafter Bestiary is a good card against control. He might get just remanded. He might go like remand, force you to play it again, see if at that point you are low enough to mana leak it. Because remand is not going to. Oh, it's probably to Council's Judgment I guess. The thing is that remand is not gonna actually counter stuff on this board. It's just not a thing that's gonna.
Crafter's Bestiary as well. It's really awkward. Yeah, this has to be the Judgment.
Yeah, I guess that if Loring plays a big enough stuff, Remand plus Mana Leak is like Remand might make the Mana Leak live.
Yeah. Sinister Sabotage in the graveyard for Wafa.
Yeah.
So Wafa has 4 cards in hand. They are Remand, Mana Leak, Mana Drain,
and Mystic Gate. Mystic Gate is the last one, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that he's planning to ride this Gideon of the Trials to victory in some way, like...
Where is this Gideon fogging the Harbinger? Because the Elvish Archer doesn't want to attack in that Snapcaster.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I guess, oh no, the Carbon Caryatid is just keeping Gideon at bay.
Yeah, it's a 2/5.
Yeah.
It's a mana
It's
crypt.
just
That's not very good.
it's just bigger than anything that Gideon
Mana
is
crypt
doing.
while at 6 life seems bad. It would resolve.
I'm sorry, I'm having some trouble switching hands. Yeah, you should not play Mana Crypt. That gives the control deck the win condition that they need.
Yeah, it's a spell that would resolve.
Yeah, it would resolve. It is actively bad for you.
Yeah, this Library of Alexander doing its best impression of waste.
Yeah. I mean, Wafa, like, you know, if he draws like he's back to 5 cards. He's right in holding the Mystic Gate, and like if he
averted this board, attack with the Gideon.
Yeah.
Never mind.
He decides not to.
Never mind. What's he afraid of?
To be fair, he doesn't have to. I think he just wants to go back on Library. Like, he has a Maze of Heath. He has this Gideon. What's the opponent gonna do?
Cast multiple relevant spells.
Yeah. And then you...
If we're on a Presence of Gone type thing.
Okay, what does the opponent do that gets through Remand Mana Leak Mana Drain? I guess is the question, right? Like...
Mana Drain... the Mana Drain is going to hit the first thing. If the second thing is a Presence of Gone, then it's going to resolve because the Mana Leak and the Remand are not going to counter it again on this board state.
I think that if you cast, like... Loading has... so Loading had... Okay, Wafa has conceded, but... Loading had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 mana?
Loading conceded.
Yeah, Loading just had enough. Well, game 2.
Yep.
Good.
Normal Hierarch into Greenweaver Druid or...
This is Greenweaver. Oh, Greenweaver Druid is this thing. It's an elf druid. Yeah, seems pretty good. What does Primordial Sage do? Okay, whenever we play a creature spell, we may draw a card.
That's an nature.
It's also some sort of weird snake spirit person. Okay.
Just a spirit. It's not a snake.
Well, no, but it looks like a snake.
It looks like a snake, but it's not a snake. So this is just gonna be like Hierarch into Greenweaver and Ant Queen deal with it.
Yeah, and Wafa doesn't. Oh, I guess it did. Okay, Wafa drew and Wafa's mana is kind of awkward. He has Island to start, but he has a decision of trying to like drop this Ascanta using this Field of Ruin next turn, but that leaves him completely open to loading with approximately 70 trillion mana, or drop this irrigated farmland so that you can have Sinister Sabotage next turn, but that you are still open to.
Completely open. I think you go for Ascanta here and then try and find untapped land so you can actually do something.
Well, I mean, the thing is that Lodin doesn't know that Wafa doesn't have some sort of 1-mana interaction, right? Like,
yeah.
So there is value in leaving 1-mana open, but I think you have to go for Ascanta because you're so far behind.
Absorb's really awkward here.
Yeah.
Triple density. And same with Cryptic Command. Cryptic Command. So even with this, like, if all these lands came in untapped, it's still Cryptic Command, unexpectedly and Absorb that cannot be cast.
Yep. So I guess that's a point in favor of dropping the Ascanta.
Yeah.
And hoping that finds you better mana.
Yeah, you need to find things. You need to find both stuff and things, and you need to quickly because Ant Queen's down.
Yeah, I mean, Ant Queen is a threat.
It's a 4-turn clock.
Yeah.
It's a good Wall of Blossoms.
I don't know what... I don't know what Loading can do about this Ant Queen. I guess he can, like, hopefully find some sort of white source at some point, like, take some damage, then eventually find some way of putting it some amount of mana down to the bottom of the library. Yeah, but then so there is also going to be this Primordial Sage, which is mass kill threat. This is a big problem.
Yeah, Wafa, I think, needs to, like, find another white source and a wipe of some variety.
Yeah. What's his draw? His draw is Caracas.
That is a white source.
Yeah, sadly, it's not enough. Because he decided
Yeah,
to play as Kanta last turn.
Need to find a white.
No, I mean, it's a good draw for next turn. Because it means that he will be able to also cast Absorb and Unexpectedly Absent eventually. But...
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That's surprising. I would have probably planned to drop the Primordial Sage.
The Elvish Mystic net 0 mana.
Yeah, but if you play a Primordial Sage first, you draw a card.
Just to not cast spells into counter magic. Just make 1 million tokens.
That's fair.
By which I mean 2. 3.
Yeah, 2's kind of like 1 million.
And this board state basically is 1 million.
Yeah,
They don't have haste, so...
I mean, Wafa... Like, this board state is Wafa will lose unless he finds Wrath of God. That is like, at this point, like, Unexpectedly Absent doesn't do it. He needs a Wrath.
But Unexpectedly Absent can shove an Ant Queen on top of the library for a turn.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not nothing, but it's not enough. I mean, I guess he can also, like, if he finds another blue source in some way, he can Cryptic Command.
Yeah, he has a couple time walks.
Yeah.
Source Splasher, that's an answer.
Yeah, but now he has to contend with all the tokens, right?
Yeah, you still have to deal with tokens.
Like, you can plow the Ant Queen, and that's not nothing, but it doesn't fix your issues.
Yeah.
He might want to just plan to, like, Field of Ruins this turn so he fixes mana if he, like, maybe he goes like plow the Queen and then Field of Ruin your Nykthos.
Yeah. Might have liked doing that before you untap with the Nykthos, though.
I think you're forced into doing it because you really need to represent counter magic.
Yeah, I guess like this is a Sinister Sabotage that's gonna get on stack.
Yeah.
Which is a better plan, I think.
Yeah, but that's bad for him because he really needed to find an island with this Field of Ruin so that he would be able to actually Cryptic top the team next turn.
Sinister Sabotage put on top.
All right. Let's see what he finds.
Yep.
I'm assuming the thing gets plowed here.
If it's a board wipe on top, then I don't think you bother.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like, and I think there is value in just saying, look, I don't want to spend this board to plowshares because if I don't find the board wipe, I'm dead anyway. And if I do find the board wipe, then I will beat. Like, that's the way I beat Ant Queen. But I guess disagrees.
I guess top card might be an island.
Yeah.
It might be a relevant land. Or no, wait, I was looking at the wrong graveyard, wasn't it? No, I was looking at the right graveyard. Wonder if it's Sabotage. We'll search for his Kanto, looks at the top part of the library again. Continues to put it on top.
Yeah, I mean... Okay, actually, no, never mind. That's good. That handles the tokens, but not the queen. That's a good way of...
This is now an 11-turn clock.
Yeah.
Noble Hierarch plus a token can attack in one
when you attack the Jace, probably, right?
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't.
Oh, this is a green deck. Huh, what does the Spellseeker get? Or it's a blue deck, rather.
Ancestral? I mean, why not?
So many things.
It could get like Green Sun Zenith. Or Genesis Wave or something.
It could get Green Sun Zenith, and Green Sun Zenith is a pretty big game on the state. Or no, Green Sun is not. Green Sun Zenith is like, actually, Green Sun Zenith for fun.
Yeah, Green Sun Zenith would be okay. Like, it would still be like 4. It would still be like Green Suns for 3. It could get Court of Calling. Gets Time Walk.
Unfortunately, Jace is until your next turn.
Yeah. No, I mean, Time Walk doesn't... But he gets one turn with Wafa tapped out, which is not nothing.
I love the Nykthos tap for Devotion to Blue.
Yeah.
You know the Noble Hierarch can produce blue mana.
Shut up.
Like, it is better, right, to go Noble Hierarch tap
Yes,
a couple
it is absolutely better,
Because-
100%.
You can also cast a carbon carry on it afterwards.
Yeah,
I think I forgot the Nova
which I
Hierarch
think would be really good.
I think it was forgotten.
Ooh,
that,
he gets rewarded.
Oh,
Draws Woodland Bellower.
I mean, rewarded air quotes.
What? I mean,
This would have happened regardless.
well, no,
would
but it happens on the turn that Wafa stepped out.
What type is insect? Okay. So
Does he?
well, I mean, I like the time walk. I just prefer tapping the Nova Hierarch. So you can also
Does he get to win here?
how does the step win with this situation?
I don't know.
Right?
Usually when Woodland Bellower hits the board, I always ask myself, can you win the game? And maybe you can't, and that's fine. But that's usually a question that is worth asking. Is there a line for him to find Court of Colin?
Sure.
So I have to find Elvish Archdruid. So that's gonna mean means that he's gonna be able to attack the Jace. No. For
start
two.
the establishment attacks for 3. So attacks for 2.
Yeah. Okay. So now Wafa is back to, oh, I need a board wipe. But he gets to, oh no, he doesn't. If he finds a blue source, he gets to Cryptic top during upkeep, probably.
Oh, you're right, because the Woodland Bellower.
Yeah.
I mean, unexpectedly absent can shove the Woodland Bellower away for.
Yeah, but then you give your opponent another Woodland Bellower cast. She's not the greatest.
So if this Jace minuses, yeah, it's gonna plus. I was like, if this Jace
oh, I found Settle the Wreckage.
Yeah, you get everyone to attack and settle everything.
Yeah, I think it would be a little suspicious. Honestly, what he wants to be doing here, I think he shoves.
Hi.
I think he counters the Paradox Engine with Absorb.
Yeah, Absorb.
Yeah.
And then just take the punch from the Elvish Archdruid and the Elvish Mystic and this Woodland Bellower.
Jace will go away, and I think you have to. Oh, never mind. That's Paradox Engine resolves. He might be thinking of shoving that away with. Maybe he shoves that away with.
I think he thinks that he needs.
I think you see how the attack goes, honestly, because you want to find a spot where you can crack this Field of Ruin, so that you find your third blue and can cast Cryptic Command. And if Jace goes away, that's also like a free way to like maybe go the low.
This Garrick needs to not resolve. That's it, right? Because this Garrick is basically Crater Hoof Behemoth next turn, right?
But you want it to be Crater Hoof Behemoth because it's still the Reg in hand.
You want it to settle.
Yeah. Like, I think he just cracks Field of Ruin. I think you just was like, look, minus, I think he's on the, look, minus the Garruk next turn, attack with every single thing you have, eat Settle the Reg for 1 billion, get wrecked. I think that's the plan that he has to go for.
The developer's attacking phase.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable. Because Jace is gonna die to these other threats.
1, 2, 3, yeah.
But Jace dying here is weirdly enough good for Wafa. He goes for the settle here. I kinda disagree with that.
The thing is, if you take 5 here, you go to 6. This Garrick, then this Garrick minus doesn't necessarily leave you this Garrick settle bit. If Garrick minus is next turn after you take 5 and go to 6, 2 of these things is lethal.
Yeah, but your opponent is unlikely to be playing around Settle the Wreckage, I feel. I think you just hope they YOLO shove everything and get them. Because you're so far behind on this board. I guess that his plan is just, I will find Wrath of God. I'm gonna minus this Jace this turn. I will get to find the freaking Wrath of God eventually.
I mean, this turn, you can also plus the Jace and shove the Garrick a couple turns down. And then you're back
Yeah,
on,
he also finally finds an island, so that's good.
yeah,
Means that he will be
then
able
you're
to
back
cause
on-
Cryptic Command.
Then you're back on playing the 1 a turn game.
Yeah.
The Double Hierarch. Yeah, I guess if you don't settle there, also just the 6/5 is lethal on its own.
Yeah, I guess that your opponent might be playing around stuff.
I think you have to assume your opponents are good at the game, and know, like, not necessarily just good at the game, but know what they're doing as far as playing around stuff. I don't think you can assume that your opponent's not going to play around it.
I guess it's more. The thing is that it's more rewarding to because you're absolutely sometimes in position where you need to put your opponent in look, I need you to make this mistake.
Yeah, here's the Terracult. Here's a
Because-
cryptic command.
Yeah, because now the Cryptic Command is gonna.
Yeah.
It's gonna trade. Basically, trade with the Garrick and blow him out.
Yeah.
He still needs to find the Wrath of God at some point.
Yeah.
Does he bounce the Paradox Engine or draw? I guess there is no point in bouncing the Paradox Engine because loading will just recast it. And loading.
We need to find the board wipe. Well, you don't need to find the board wipe immediately. In fact, actually, if you cast out this Noble Hierarch, block is gone. This is Kanta's gonna get the flip.
Which means that Wafa at some point will finally be able to find the Wrath of God that he needs.
Yeah. At this point, you don't really need a Wrath of God, even. This is 1 a turn from all of these tokens.
Well, I think, but you can't expect that your Jace will stick around forever. I think you have to assume that your opponent will be able to heal Jace at some point.
What's the blue-green deck gonna do about it?
They have
Again, this is 1 a turn. If all of these tokens can attack Jace.
Loading has white in his deck. He would cast the Jace out. He wouldn't expect. He could fire a Council's Judgment.
Does he run Council's Judgment?
But you can't. I mean, that's the same reason. I'm gonna check, but that's the same reason. You can't assume that he doesn't.
I think you can't assume that your Absorb is going to resolve, though.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
You're holding a counterspell. What did this D-Sphere hit?
Probably Paradox Engine. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. What am I looking at? This is the deck. Okay.
I think we're back at the point where this game is still perfectly fine. Fierce Empath is probably going to go get Crater Hoof. This Crater Hoof is probably not going to resolve. Yeah. At some point, I think this game's actually in lost control here because this Jace is stopping anything from happening.
Yeah. I think at this point, yes, I agree.
I'm curious what the white is for because we have not seen. I don't think I've seen a white spell from yet. Absorb the Fierce Empath. What?
Well, the Fierce Empath. I guess what did you just counter whatever the Fierce Empath gets?
Yes. The Fierce with this much mana, the Fierce Empath theoretically be getting Emrakul. That would be bad for you.
Emrakul is not a druid, so clearly he's not playing it.
None of these insect tokens, or the Spellseeker, or the Swallow Blossoms.
So I'm trying to go through the list. He's playing white for Quathly Radiant Champion, which is a magic card, I think.
That is a card.
He has 2 white cards that cost 2 mana. Oh, so he's playing Back and Call, which is a white card.
Sure.
Fair.
Fair.
You usually want the back
That would
half.
be a lot here, by the way.
But-
That would be extremely that your opponent just burned that counter magic. So if he just draws Crater Hoof here, he wins.
Yeah, I mean that's
Waffle burns counterspell.
Oh, yeah, okay. Those are the only white
Wafa
cards that I'm
is-
seeing in the
Wafa's-
list, honestly.
off of Fate Seal. Left it on top.
I see.
Trying to win the game.
Oh, Eladamri's Call is the other white card. Okay, there was a more important card. Okay.
Didn't he play Intruder Alarm?
That's a blue card.
Yeah, no, we're talking about why is he playing white. Blue we got. I think that the main reason to play blue is back, but Intruder Alarm is also a card.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so now he's gonna get to Forsake the Worldly, this Cloudstone Courier.
Well, I think you wait on that until they show a reason to.
That is fair.
Fate Seal. Yeah, this Jason's just gonna try and end the game.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable, right? Like you have been just waiting on.
Fate Seal top.
Yeah.
I think these tokens should at least one of these tokens should be attacking every.
Yeah, the Noble Hierarch means that loading might be losing faith a little bit.
Yeah, 1 damage per turn does slow down the clock.
Yeah, and again, like, you don't know that your opponent has a counterspell. I will be honest with you. If I was sitting against a control deck on 4 cards, I would probably assume that they have a counterspell, but
I mean,
you still are supposed to like jam and hope that it works.
At this point, I don't think you can assume that there's a counterspell.
Also, he gets to, like, you know, he gets to hit Wall of Blossoms or Spellseeker.
Oh, actually,
Yeah,
Crater Hoof Behemoth will resolve.
Does he get to cast the Roof now?
If he finds Crater Hoof, I'm pretty sure he's the man of the cast.
So, because he would have gone Bounce Spellseeker, he would have gone Cloudstone Courier, Bounce Spellseeker, cast Spellseeker, find the Eladamri's Call, cast Eladamri's Call, find Crater Hoof, cast Crater Hoof.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he has that much mana. Like, he has mana, but that is a whole lot of mana.
Not much. But if he finds Crater Behemoth, this cavern just says it resolves.
Yeah. Is cavern name in...
This Wall of Blossoms might be picking up.
Yeah, it's the Mean Beast.
So
Cloudstone Courier... Yeah, now he has to pick up the spells here, right? Like, that just needs to be the hand you pick up.
Yeah. And then...
Unless he doesn't see the Eladamri's Call line. Did he already cast Eladamri's Call? He didn't, right?
No, absolutely did not. What's the carbon carry on?
This is can't find anything. It does not restrict to blue cards, right? No, it can't find anything. Vanquisher's Banner?
Whoa. Hi.
That is a relatively big game. He will choose Druid, I think.
Well, choose Insect.
Oh yeah, I guess that you can just pump all the insects. Yeah, no, I'm thinking. Oh, maybe we just like buff all the guys so that maybe you just like give yourself a draw engine, but no, you can just attack with those 5 insects that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, he chose insect. So that's gonna set. I think that his plan now is he attacks the Jace Architect of Thought.
I think so, yeah.
Down so that he can kill it in a couple of turns.
Yeah, you don't quite have the clock to kill him before that Jace ult is going to find a board wipe.
Yeah. Though he can also just cast. No, he cannot do it this turn, but he can like next turn cast the Vanquisher's Banner out.
Yeah.
You attack Jace Architect of Thought, right?
I think so, yeah. The Architect of Thought is 2 turns from all day. If you don't attack the Jace Architect, and say you attack Wafa's face, then the Architect just pluses and then ults and then finds a board wipe, and then you die.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the fact that like once this Jace Architect of Thought goes away, then you can leisurely have all the time in the world to keep like. Then the Jace, the Mind Sculptor, goes down a lot faster.
Yes.
But that's not going to be enough, sadly for loading. The Jace will still be able to
get back to the 1 per turn.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that he lost. He bounced the wrong thing. He should have bounced Spellseeker.
Yeah. I think if we're going to assume that it's not resolving, you want to at least try to. Or if we're going to assume that it resolves, then you want to try and find Crater Up.
I guess the question is, can you beat a counterspell?
I don't think you can.
And like, if you're forcing your opponent to jam, because your opponent knows that you have Cavern of Souls on Beast, right? Like, so if you jam a counterspell if you force your opponent to jam a counterspell into your Spellseeker, I think you are fine with that. It didn't actually cost you a card. You just cast another thing to pick up the Spellseeker, and.
So, do you think this Jace is going to put anything that's not Crater Hoof back on top of the library? Crater Hoof is just lethal, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. I mean, you can find the counterspell for it, but... Well, I guess no, because of the Cavern on Beast.
Yeah, you can't counter Crater Hoof. Crater Hoof's not...
Yeah.
I assume that's why the Cavern Souls is all beasts.
Lovin declined twice to pick up Spellseeker, because he went in... And I think that that's just going to cost him the game at this point.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm going to be back momentarily.
Yeah, take your time. Well... We'll see what happens in this game. I do think that the Spellseeker line would have granted loading more of a chance to win. He opted to grind, going for this Carbon Caryatid. We'll see what the Carbon Caryatid draws him into. He decides to play a land. And a lot rides on this Carbon Caryatid. We'll see if it gets punished for doing what he did or doesn't. And the draw is... yeah, Forest definitely got punished. And now the Forsake the Worldly is gonna heal the Vanquisher's banner. And... Wafa is gonna go back to not having a whole lot going on. Sorry, and Loading is gonna go back to having not a whole lot going on, and he's gonna be sad.
But yeah, it's kind of an instant speed effect.
Yeah, I mean, he can. Oh, the Forsake the Water was already used, but he can cast it out. Which I'm assuming he's going to, or he decides to unexpectedly absent. It's also fine.
You unexpectedly absent it as one. Oh, you can unexpectedly absent it one deep and then face heal to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, concede.
He concedes after. Yeah, that was a little heartbreaking to see that happen. Honestly, because I think that he had the win and did not see the line. I believe.
There was a line.
So you could have bounced when you played the thing on Cloudstone Courier. You could have bounced your Spellseeker, cast Spellseeker, find the Ladamri's Call, a Ladamri's Call for Crater Hoof Behemoth, and then next turn cast Crater Hoof Behemoth, and that at the very least, and you had the Cavern on Beast. So the Crater Hoof Behemoth, assuming that all of this stuff resolves, will have resolved, unless there is something wrong with this line that I'm not seeing, which is a possibility.
I don't think there was. I just didn't see it.
Yeah. We noticed the beast. We noticed the Cavern on Beast. Oh, so Crater Hoof Behemoth is lethal anytime you find it. Is there a possible way to find it? Yes.
Yeah. I know I could have won that. It's just I didn't want to wait another hour to finish up game 2 of 3.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Wafa's hand was not amazing. Like, I think you would have had a shot if you had kept going, but the Vanquisher's banner going away was pretty bad. Yeah, I think that the Eladamri's Call line was the one that would have gotten you there, and that just. I mean, I'm sorry that you didn't say it. I guess it's a little unfortunate, but it was a little heartbreaking to watch. Anyway, so can I have match results? Tulip versus ThunderNumbers, guys.
2-0.
Tulip 2? Okay. Windy versus Tenebre. We watched was Windy 2-0, I believe.
2-0, yeah.
And Wafa versus Loading is Wafa 2-0.
It's typically the matchup for me.
Yeah. Alright, so for round 3, we got Windy versus Tulip, Wafa versus ThunderNumbers, and Tenebre versus Loading. Do I need to write it down or you guys got it?
Yeah.
I'll write it down anyway, just in case. And this time we'll be able to watch the whole thing, I guarantee, instead of missing like a game at random because of this, because I'm an idiot. And we will be watching Windy versus Tulip, which is the finals today. Let's put the game up and see what's going on. All right, let me see if I can find it. Pauper Standard Vintage. There you go. This should be the game. All right, this time I'm making sure that we're on the live screen and we are good to go. We have Tulip on Cradlehoof versus Windy on Tempo spells, and this should be a good matchup for Tulip, honestly. His deck has a pretty solid mid-range plan. The combo half of the plan might not work out as well, but he can just start jamming gigantic threats into the board, and Windy is probably gonna have a hard time keeping up. The way that Windy wins is that he manages to keep him off balance just long enough to make it happen. But we'll have to see if there is. We'll have to see how that pans out. Anyway, Tulip keeps a hand that has a couple of lands, a couple of elves, a couple of walls. And the Kozilek's Predator. That is wow. Okay, that's exactly a description of his hand. And on the other hand, Windy is on 2 lands, a couple of like 3 very good threats. He decides not. Oh, he decides to start with Ponder of the Delver's Secrets, which is interesting. He's probably gonna jam the Delver next turn. And then he has a counter spell and the burn spell. Electrolyze is looking to be really good here. Tulip drew and deployed his Fauna Shaman, which is good for him because it means, oh, Windy decides to go for the Chartic Horse? Okay, interesting. His hand is very threat heavy, which I'm not sure is what you want in this specific matchup. Presumably Tulip will be deploying Wall of Roots and Elves of Deep Shadow. And I'm assuming looking to cycle. Okay, no. Decides to activate Fauna Shaman. Pitches the Elves of Deep Shadow to find Knight of the Reliquary, which is currently going to be only a 2/2. I'm assuming that Windy will consider just killing it now before it can start doing its thing. Yeah, he'll immediately fire off an Electrolyze. I don't know if the target will be Fauna Shaman or Knight of the Reliquary. Both are very scary cards for him. decides to go with another reliquary. He thinks he has a little bit more time to deal with the Fauna Shaman, which I guess is not an unreasonable expectation. He does not have an answer for it in hand, though. His hand is kind of devoid of burn. Tulip deploys the Hoselex Predator, which is not exactly a particularly scary card. Kind of wonder if maybe it was correct to instead, instead of deploying the Hoselex Predator, just cycle it out with Fauna Shaman, because he's not that far away to setting up a Craterhoof win, I don't think. Windy deploys the Enigma Drake, and I'm assuming either the Soulscar Mage or the Delver. Enigma Drake currently a 3/4. Yeah, also plays the Delver. Does not currently have a way to set the Delver up, as far as I can tell, but Delver, it will flip at some point, hopefully. Tulip is probably just gonna sit back and use this Fauna Shaman cycle away. I'm assuming Overgrown Battlement, and if I use this Fauna Shaman, I guess that the Overgrown Battlement plus Wall of Druid combo is pretty strong. What he would like to do, I'm sure, is find a way to transform. I'm trying to figure out what he can do that makes, if there is a creature that this Fauna Shaman can get that finds Dark Depths. That is the thing I'm trying to discern, and I can't think of one. You can find Spellseeker that finds Crop Rotation, but it doesn't play blue at all, so that's not an option. You could find Primeval Titan. That does the thing. I think that this game is over, question mark? I don't know how I blanked on Primeval Titan there. That is definitely a creature that finds Dark Depths. Yeah, it does that. I don't know how Windy wins from this position. I think that this is pretty hopeless for him. Tulip is still at 18 life. So it's well, we'll see what Windy does. His hand is not particularly conducive. He needed to tap out on the turn because he needs to deploy this Enigma Drake, but I don't know. Well, Blood Moon is a start. Blood Moon at the very least answered the 20/20, so that's a thing. Still cannot hold up this Ionize, which I'm assuming means that he will be deploying the Bedlam, the Soulscar Mage instead, which he does. Blood Moon is a very fortunate draw. Windy still, but Tulip still has the game solid in hand. He had Eladamri's call for something dumb, possibly a Rexage. Yeah, he had Eladamri's call for Rexage. Oh, he has no white mana. So we'll see what happens. What's up?
ThunderNumbers needed to leave.
Oh, okay. So I'll just, well, that's unfortunate. I'll just give you the win. Wafa wins 2-0. There you go. Alright, how did the game go?
It was really early into game one, but I was under pressure because he had Huntmaster of the Fells flipped, and I was just getting back onto my feet.
I see. Windy, I'm watching Windy and Tulip, and this is a very interesting game. Tulip managed to land a Primeval Titan, found Dark Depths to go with the Thespian stage that he already had, and then proceeded, and Windy immediately proceeded to rip a Blood Moon off the top. So now he's trying to find some way of dealing with this prime time, but while the Blood Moon keeps things at bay. He could use Fauna Shaman of Ladambe's Call to find the Rex Sage, I guess that now he's just gonna... Tulip is probably just gonna use Fauna Shaman to find the Reclamation Sage, so that the Reclamation Sage... No, doesn't care. He decides to go for Whisperwood Elemental. He decides that he just wants to put threats on the board. And Windy doesn't have a lot in the way of pressure, because this Enigma Drake has been just keeping back. So I think that we are... Yeah, I think that Tulip is just gonna convert his big threats, his mediocre stuff in his hand, into big threats, and then kill Windy that way. He can still do it next turn and still use like...
Yeah, he can still like, I think it's a good line because he can protect his board with the Whisperwood Elf in a sense. And he has still the option of getting the Rex Edge later on. So.
Yeah, he can still get the Rex Edge next turn. He's basically saying, look, answer what I got, and if you don't, then if you do, then I'll find the Rex Edge and kill you with a 20/20. Yeah, and opts to go for the Lightning Strike, even though... Okay, I guess he has a Bedlam Reveler. So there is a question there of going for the prime time, because then you can block the prime time with your Enigma Drake. This is a very lackluster draw for him. He draws Mountain Island Spellsnare off of the Bedlam Reveler. So I don't know. I don't know. Windy is like clawing back at this game with everything that he can, but it's tough. He finally starts to get seen some swings with his Delver of Secrets now. I guess
What's
that he
the
does.
manifest?
The manifest. I don't know if I can see it, but yeah, I don't think I can see it.
Oh.
Yeah. Sadly. I guess that Windy is like deceptively close because he does have like a 2-turn clock in the air. I don't know what his plan is to deal with all this other stuff that is going on, but like there is a word, like if Windy had drawn like a couple bolts, Tulip would be dead next turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that is the fact that he drew very poorly off of... he drew so poorly off of the Better Murder is really punishing him. And yeah, Tulip's line of taking the leisurely way is actually... I don't know if it's paying off that much, like if it's gonna pay off that much. Because he might end up in a position where Windy cobbles together wins. Kind of what the tempo deck does. You'll randomly end up... Oh, he decides to trade away his Enigma Drake though. So Windy doesn't think that he can win in that way. Whisperwood makes another manifest. Fire Ice is decent. He can ice the Whisperwood for a turn while the Delver keeps beating. So that's not the worst. Also, actually, the Spellsnare is actually not that bad, because it can counter Ladamri's Call if Tulip ever finds... or this Vizier of Remedy, is Tulip ever finds a white source.
Yeah.
Because Tulip has the Vizier Druid combo in hand. He just needs to find the white source. Granted, Windy needs to not die, which, I don't know... He did not ice the Whisperwood. Interesting. So I guess he can... So he can fire a manifest, block the other one with Soulscar Mage, and block the Whisperwood with the Bedlam Reveler. Okay. These blocks are actually will go better than Is Windy actually stabilizing? Is that what's happening? Are we seeing Windy stabilize the board here?
Yeah.
That would be crazy. Man. He trades, he eats the manifest. Oh, it says not to block with Battle Unraveler. Huh. Interesting. No. Oh, because Soulscar Mage can put a counter on... I see. Yeah, okay. I see what's happening. Yeah. So Tulip deploys the Devoured Druid. It's a spell snare. And I think Windy is in a good position to win this game now.
Yeah.
I mean, he still needs to do some work because he can't really attack with the Battle Unraveler. The Battle Unraveler needs to stay back so it can block. But now this Insectal Aberration can keep chipping in the air, and this Incinerate that Windy just drew means that he only needs 2 more turns.
I think the bolt on the Fauna Shaman was really key because it stopped Tulip from ever, realistically getting rid of the Blood Moon in time.
Yeah, no, for sure. The I didn't expect Fauna Shaman to attack last turn, which is why I was saying that the Manifest would get bolted. But yeah, given that the Fauna Shaman attacked, then yeah, you absolutely hit the Fauna Shaman. Yeah, no, Windy got there. That was insane. Very, very good navigating the game from Windy there. We'll see what happens in game 2. I think they both kept their... No, Windy's on 6. Tulip caps the 7. He has a hand that has Soul Ring in it, so that's something. I'm assuming he's gonna go for Joraga 3 Speaker this turn. He can go Joraga 3 Speaker. Next turn, pump the Joraga 3 Speaker. If it survives, drop Boreal Druid Llanowar Elves, and then use the Soul Ring to break Havoc. His hand has a lot of mana, but not a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Windy opts to start by strip mining the forest, which is gonna set Tulips back actually, because it means that he's not gonna be able to make the Joraga into an active creature this turn. And Windy doesn't know that, but Tulip doesn't have another land in hand. Still, his hand is all mana, so it's gonna be fine. Windy does not have a blue source. Windy kept the hand without blue. His hand is Mountain, Thermo Alchemist, Jace Prince Prodigy, Brainstorm, Mana Leak, Blood Moon. That is interesting. So I'm assuming that we'll see probably the Joraga 3 Speaker teacup, and then he's gonna have 3 mana left over. He can use Soul Ring, and then have 2 mana left over, and then we can deploy. I guess he cannot deploy all the other cards in his hand regardless. So I guess he could take the Joraga 3 Speaker up. Maybe do not deploy the Soul Ring and just dump the Elvish Archdruid in play. Windy does not have a burn spell in hand, I don't think. Am I crazy?
He might want to go level up 3 Speaker and then play Soul Ring and then play Druid and Visionary. I think that works.
So now he has 1 floor. Okay, no, this is a good line, because now it means that he's gonna have green, colorless. Doing it this way, which is what he wants, because that allows him to deploy the Boreal Druid and also the Elvish Archdruid.
Yeah.
Because he was pinch of green mana, but this way he managed to make 3 green mana out of the things that he needs. And yeah. This was the line that he needed, and this was the line that he needed to take. And Windy has a significantly less impressive start, but Tulip's hand, Tulips has a decent amount of random Ooh, Gurk. Gurk is very good draw, because that kills the Thermo Alchemist immediately. Windy's hand is a 3-drop and 4 blue cards against a mana base of Mountain, which is not ideal.
Yeah, and Blood Moon doesn't seem like it's gonna do anything.
Well, Windy has like 16 islands in his deck. Blood Moon does not do a whole lot. It only shuts down the Temple Garden. It keeps your opponent off of white, which is not zero.
Yeah.
But it's not a priority, I would say. Like, I think your priority is to Gelectro this draw from Windy, which is another blue card, but well, Windy has had enough of not finding the mana that he needs and concedes. So this will go to game 3. Windy Tulip goes to 6. Windy caps at 7. Windy Tulips goes to the second 6 and keeps the second 6. He has a hand of Forest, Sylvan's Shrine, Wall of Blossoms, Knight of the Reliquary, which is not explosive. It's not a great hand. Tulip's hand, Windy's hand instead is a couple of islands and a Strip Mine. So he has no red mana, but he's got Thoughtscour, Enigma Drake, Lightning Bolt as the business cards, and the Strip Mine to keep Tulip off of balance for a little, although... Oh, I guess he has a Flooded Strand in play, so he doesn't find red mana that way. Okay, never mind. I mean, I missed the already play the land. Tulip's hand's not exactly... I mean, the Strip Mine that is going to happen here is actually not bad, because it means no white mana for Tulip, which means... Or unless he burns a Sylvan's Shrine on it, which is no Knight of the Reliquary, which is a very important threat. But... You know... It does mean Stagger Shock is the draw. Okay, so Tulip is going to have another fairly lackluster turn of just... oh, draws a Savannah off the top. That's not bad. He probably has forced into just playing a land and passing the turn. Windy founds a cantrip off the top. So he gets to deploy a Serum Visions to set up his draws. The Serum Visions found, I believe, a Wooded Foothills was the draw, and he goes bottom top. Tulip drops a Wall of Blossom. His hand is really slow, but Windy is not doing anything. Well, next turn Windy gets to deploy an Enigma Drake, though. Leads with Gitaxian Probe to see what the opponent's cooking with. His draw was Curious Homunculus. Deploys the Enigma Drake. Windy Tulip's hand is not set up super well to deal with it, but Tulip's best idea is to play the Knight of the Reliquary and race that way. And Knight of the Reliquary is already a 4/4, I believe, because of the fetch plus Strip Mine, yeah. Racing against a tempo deck is not necessarily where you want to be, but Knight of the Reliquary can get real big real fast. And Windy does not have a good way of answering it yet. Unless he goes like Bolt Stagger Shock, that's an option. He can just fight up both, which it looks like he decides to go for. Yeah, he just does not want to deal with this Knight of the Reliquary. Plus the Bolt does mean that the Enigma Drake hits for one more, which does accelerate this Windy's clock. Stagger Shock will come offline next turn and be 2 more points of damage that probably go to Tulip's face, or also mean he can't really fire up his Duskblade Shooter with his Death Rage Shaman. And so I'm assuming that his turn will just be Overgrown Battlement and maybe cast Sylvan's Grind. He doesn't need... He doesn't know what he would be Sylvan Scrying for yet. Overground Battlement will tap for 2 mana though. Is he okay just firing the Duskbotch into the... I am sorry. Okay, so cast Sylvan Sky for Gaia's Cradle, which I hear is a powerful magic card, as it turns out. Next turn, he's... Excuse me?
Saying word on the street is it's a powerful magic card.
Yeah, so I hear, yeah. So next turn, he's poised to go... He's poised to have access to 70 trillion mana, I believe. He's gonna have at least 2, 3, 4, 8.
Yeah.
It can be more, because he can deploy the Death Ray and the Duskbotch before tapping Gaia's Cradle. So in that case, he can have up to 10. Windy preordains... he goes bottom, top, and draws that card. Enigma Drake for 7. That's a large Enigma Drake, like lethally large next turn, in fact. Can Primal Command do something about it? Question mark. I guess he can Cord for a 5-drop with Reach? Or that kills a creature with flying? Or he can gain 7 life. Yeah, okay. That's a way of gaining a turn, I guess. Oh, he can also just force... he can gain 7 life and shuffles Windy's graveyard into its library. So that the Enigma Drake becomes a 0/4.
Well, he can also he can gain 7 and then put the Volcanic Island back on top of his opponent's library so that he doesn't get the next draw.
Yeah, but Tulip's at 6 life versus a lethal Enigma Drake. So I think that he's more interested in denying the threat of Enigma Drake, which happens by shuffling away the graveyard, which I think would be the play here. Because if you make the game, if you gain like 3 or 4 turns, his Death Red Shaman can get you back into the game by starting exiling creatures to gain you life. And he's gonna have enough mana to just do all of those things. Decides to fire off the Primal Command on his turn. Oh, I guess it's a sorcery. So he has to do that.
Alright, I gotta leave. Thanks for hosting.
No problem. What was your match score, by the way?
Loading 1-2-0.
Okay, thank you very much.
It was rough out there today.
All right, thank you for coming, and see you next week. All right, with this is the last match. It's a hard fought match.
Tulip choose to search the library instead of shuffling the graveyard.
He still has 3 mana. Does he know for a fact that he has a 3 mana way of dealing with what's going on? Oh yeah, I guess that he doesn't need to deal with this turn. He can just because the gaining 7 life means he's gonna have another turn. So next turn he's gonna deploy the Hornet Queen, and if the Hornet Queen resolves, then he's gonna be in trouble. Obviously, Windy has Cryptic Command in hand, so the probability of this Queen resolving, not the biggest, but you know. Wait, can we just win here? Oh, Voracious Eater has prowess. So he can Cryptic bounce, can Cryptic tap, and that's exactly lethal. Windy manages to just win on the turn before that we thought, and the game is just over.
It was a risky line, but maybe it was more interesting to search. Well, it was safer to shuffle, but maybe if he searched, he might have thought that it was a way for him to not just be stabilizing, but also
to actually put
having a
himself
plan.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. All right.
That happened.
Yeah. No, that was a very exciting match to watch. Honestly,
That first game was not so close.
The first game, you meant?
The first game, yeah.
I am still incredulous that you managed to win it.
Yeah, same.
Honestly.
Okay. It's just like, okay, put Prime Time into play. Okay, well now I'm dead to Merit Mage. Okay, Blood Moon, I guess, saves me from the Merit Mage.
Yeah, the top deck Blood Moon was like, whoa, what?
Was not exciting.
Yeah,
Not until like 3 turns later. But
I mean, no, it was exciting, but you didn't die immediately.
But I didn't die immediately, but a bounce spell would have been better for me there. Now later on, where it actually started mattering, that nothing of the lands were...
You were dead next turn if you didn't do Blood Moon. He would have been a 20-20.
But if I draw a bounce spell or a... What I want to draw is ThunderNumbers. Because I could turn the Merit Mage, burn the Prime Time, shove it in front of the Prime Time, shove any creature in the Merit Mage, and kill both their creatures.
Yeah, I suppose.
I wanted to draw ThunderNumbers, but the Blood Moon...
Yeah, Turn and Burn definitely would have been a draw, for sure.
The Blood Moon kept me alive.
Yeah, Blood Moon kept you alive long enough that you managed to like claw yourself, stitch yourself a win from the marginal points of like, oh, this just happens to be big enough to trade here, and then you...
Yeah. Well, and also the, how do you like the, all 3 mana spells against the ramp deck?
I think you could have had a little bit more luck in terms of what you actually drew. I will say this.
In my matchup, I would have mulliganed that. Like, that's an Ionize and an Electrolyze, and neither of those do anything for the first million turns. But yeah,
having a little bit access to a little stuff that could be deployed a little bit faster would have been great. We ended up losing a game. No, but it wasn't this round. We lost a game. I was dumb, and so I forgot to change the screen again, and we didn't get to see the first game of round 2. And, which I think we were also watching you actually, but
I think so, yeah.
Then ThunderNumbers and Luring are compiling the final standings. Okay, so final standings. We have with 9 points. We have in first place. We have WindyDelCarlo. With 6 points in second place, we have Tulip, and tied for second place with 6 points. I mean tied, I mean exactly tied. All of the tiebreaker are equal. We have Wafa.
Oh yeah, because I guess I played against both of them, didn't I?
And then in 4th and 5th place, we have ThunderNumbers and Luring, and in 6th place we have Tenebre, who had a bit of a rough week, but hopefully he'll be able to bounce back and show us some wins next week. Unless anybody has some other closing statement, I will remind everybody that you can come and join us on the Canadian Highlander Discord. There will be, if you're watching the VOD on YouTube, there will be a link in the description. Otherwise, I'll try to make sure that there is a VOD. You can go on the Facebook page of Canadian Highlander and then find the link to the Discord there. And we do this every week. So find the link to the Discord. Sign up. Just we'll look out for an announcement around Thursdays when we say, hey, come and play, and shoot us an email with your deck list. And then on Sunday at 2:30 Eastern Daylight Savings Time, I guess next week is going to be Eastern Standard Time, because I think next week. I think when is it the clocks go back?
I think it's the Sunday.
Yeah. Because I know in Europe they went back yesterday. But,
it's sometime soon.
Yeah. In Europe they're already back. They went back last night. But either way, it doesn't matter. So show up and come play with us, and otherwise we'll be here on this channel for you. See all of you next week. Good luck. Goodbye.